Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 209 of Screw the Commute podcast. We're here with Lee Mosler. He's a veteran, and we just passed Veterans Day, and I want to thank him for his service along with all the other folks that keep us safe. A veteran means he's out of the service, but he's in Hawaii right now keeping us safe from all the bad weather that Hawaii has all the time. So we're glad that he's with us today. Hope you didn't miss episode 208. That's on gamification. That's where I told you lots of methods of using. It's not about games. It was about using game techniques to get more engagement on all your stuff. So that's a very eye-opening episode there, 208. That's one of my Monday training sessions. Now, I hope you grab a copy of our podcast app. It's in the App Store. And you can also go to screwthecommute.com/app, that's APP, and we have complete instructions and screen captures and everything to show you how to use all the fancy functions so you can take us with you on the road. Now, also, as a thank you for listening to the show, grab a copy of our How to Automate Your Business ebook. This book has saved me over 7.5 million keystrokes, just one of the tips in it. It's allowed me to handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers without pulling my hair out. And if you know me, you see I got a full head of hair. My dad was 94 and he still had his hair, so I got lucky. So grab that over at screwthecommute.com/automate free, screwthecommute.com/automate free. And while you're there, I threw in an extra bonus of what I learned after doing 120 quality podcasts, and now we're up to 209 today. So a lot of good stuff in there that people are charging you a lot of money for, and you get it for free. All right, our sponsor is the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia. It's a distance learning school which teaches legitimate techniques to make a great living, either working for someone else or starting your own online business, or both. And Lee's going to tell us a lot about what he's got to offer along those lines too, because he's got this wonderful son that he homeschools, and he's able to do it because he makes money online. So that's what we love around here. But my school is something that we also have scholarships available for military, first responders, law enforcement, and a special scholarship for military spouses. So if you know anybody that is a military spouse and wants a portable career, the Department of Defense cleared us to give them a special scholarship. So get in touch with us at imtcva.org. So Lee Mosler is the main event for us today. He's a U.S. Army veteran. He's an entrepreneur and a single father on a mission to bring an entire generation out of poverty and keep parents at home with their kids by teaching the skills needed to create both passive and active income online. Lee, are you ready to screw the commute?
Absolutely.
How you doing, man?
I am well. How are you?
Good. It was good being on your show. I don't know when it's coming out, but it was also good meeting you in D.C. at the tribe meeting, the Vetrepreneur Tribe meeting, and that was a great event. Stephen Kuhn, the leader of the Vetrepreneurs Tribe on Facebook, put us together. So
yes.
tell everybody what you're doing now, and then we'll take you back and see how you came up through the ranks.
Well, right now I'm kind of lounging back a little bit because I get to work from home.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you said, in beautiful Hawaii. But I got kind of excited about MICDC, where we had met, because a lot of what you do is kind of the stuff that I've been doing for so long. And when I saw that what you were doing and how long you've been doing it and what you've made from it, it actually kind of propelled me a little bit harder to push for this. So that's what I've been doing since then, is just building and making sure that I stay true to that mission statement and help get people out of a job and back home with their kids.
Yeah, that's good too. But tell us a little bit about the out of poverty part.
So I live in a state where people are working 60 to 80 hours a week and they're working 2 and 3 jobs. They're doing this to make ends meet. They're not doing this to be to have an abundance of money or even any kind of surplus. And one of the problems is everybody's so focused on this working a job idea that they don't stop to think that there are other opportunities out there. My job is to help them understand those opportunities and how to help take hobbies or even skill sets that they've learned on their job and turn those into profitable um, industries for themselves.
Now, I didn't have much luck when I went to Hawaii. Now, I was only there for a one seminar, and I really wasn't accepted that much. How are you being accepted into the? It's a different culture over there, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm what they call a haole
The
over
heli,
here.
yeah,
It traditionally means outsider,
mm-hmm.
but when you work with them on a one-to-one basis, it's a lot like family. You would never let somebody come in from the outside and tell you what's wrong with you,
Right.
but if your family member told you the same thing, you'd be like, okay, maybe I should listen a little bit more.
Got it.
Right, so it's more of a family dynamic here, and I actually kind of like that a little bit more because that means that somebody just walking off the street isn't going to be able to reach the same people that I would be able to reach by working continuously in the community. So it forces me to work harder inside the community than just to put on a marketing plan and go after these this particular community.
Yeah, and how long you been there?
I have been here since I want to say April or May of 2017.
Okay, so a
So
couple years, yeah.
about 2.5 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a friend of mine that sells real estate over there, and she was in Baltimore for a long time, and she's had the same thing. It took her a while to crack the market because she was, just she was a haole.
Yeah.
But she did well after she was there. She's been there, I don't know, 10 years now, so it's going good. So what kind of program do you have that's helping the folks stay at home with their kids?
So I've had over 10 years of web design experience, and this entire idea came from that. I had originally wanted to create a platform that was against the web design world. Instead of charging $5,000, $10,000 for websites, showing people that they could do this for a lot cheaper. That way they don't have to go into debt as much, and they could also make sure that the money that they're needing to spend on their business isn't being spent elsewhere on something that they don't necessarily need.
Well, that's
um,
music to my ears, right? Because that's the way I roll, and that I actually own the website. I bought it years ago called killyourwebdesigner.com because of all the
and
horror stories.
Yes, I mean that's a really bad problem with my industry is there are so many people out there that are charging ridiculous amounts of money just because they can. And for the most part, most people don't know exactly what they're getting in web design. So I said I'm gonna flip this. And I've always been the kind to go against the grain, so why not? I took a idea and I help um, people now create websites in about 3 to 5 minutes for $49 a month,
Nice.
which is unbelievably cheap. Nobody else out there is doing it for that price, and they're not. And they have all the same marketing pieces that you need that all these high-end multi-thousand-dollar websites have. So you got your on-page SEO, your Facebook ads, all your SEO, everything you need is right there. And while I was doing this, I was like, well, can I turn this into something else? Is there another avenue for this? And that's when the idea of helping people, showing them how to create online income in an active or passive capacity came to light. And I put all the tools in place. I was already using most of the tools. Um, and it just started to make sense more and more that if somebody could take a $49 website and create these huge business style websites that they're running their businesses on, why couldn't you take $49 websites and create an extra $1,000 a month in active or passive income? And so that's what I'm doing with this platform is I'm actually helping people and showing them what they can do with their website.
Yeah, and what I liked about you is, even though you have more technical skills than I'll ever have, you still don't act like it. That's what makes you successful with regular people. Because a lot of the technical people, they get upset, they're frustrated because you don't know where to click, and they get mad at you, and
Right.
they don't have what I call a good webside manner, instead of a bedside manner. But that's a big asset for you to work with regular people, that just want to help their kids and help their family, and they're not trying to be tech wizards.
Right. And it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be so hard that you have to break out the manual every time you want to do something. It should be pretty intuitive. And if you're not, then you've actually kind of failed as a web designer
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and a manual. What's that? Read the manual. uh, so let's take us back. Were you an entrepreneurial kid?
I was not. My dad actually had a business that was more suited to not paying taxes versus making money. So he just basically used it to fuel his hobby,
I see. Which was what?
building computers.
Oh, he built computers. Oh, wow. No
He
wonder you
built
got.
computers. Yeah, I grew up in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
My first computer was this massive suitcase
Uh-huh.
style computer with this 2 by 2 inch screen, green, and took these massive floppy disks that I mean, you could put your foot,
Right.
on and still have room around it. These were
Uh-huh.
huge. And then we started building. Of course, we took those apart, but then we started building what we now know as a traditional PC. Um, and actually, before I moved back to Dallas, I actually had one of those old, um, 124 kilobyte memory sticks. It was
Right,
great.
right.
Or 128 kilobyte sticks. It was, and looking at today's stuff now, it's like we've come a long
Yeah,
way
I
in
guess
a very
so. Yeah.
short period of time.
Is he still with us, your dad?
He's back in Dallas.
Yeah, you got to ask him if he knows what a CPM machine is.
I will have to ask that.
Yeah, that was one of my first ones, and it was $6,000, and it just, I mean, a calculator now on your watch will do more than it would do. Yeah. So then what? Did you go to school? Did you go right into service? How'd you come up?
I graduated high school, went into the service. About 2 years afterwards, I tried doing the whole college thing. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I can't sit and listen to somebody tell me things. I have to actively do things. Went into the Army. I spent 3 years in the Army and was medically discharged. I was going career. But that actually kind of opened the door into what I do now, because had it not been for that medical issue, I would not have learned web design, and I wouldn't have learned the ins and outs of building sites and how they work, and breaking them down. I've always been kind of a tinkerer, right? So I always look at the source codes and break things down piece by piece. But after got out of the Army and went and worked a few odd jobs, I guess when you're in the military, it's hard for you to sit still, and it's really hard for you to take authority from other people
Right.
who you deem not as bright.
Right.
And I think that just comes. I think that is an issue with a lot of vets, and it actually kind of helps us in a lot of ways, because it makes it to where we are forced to do our own thing.
Right.
I worked, like I said, I worked a bunch of odd jobs. I worked door to door marketing, sold AT&T Uverse. I sold I also did insurance sales for a little bit right before Obamacare hit. That kind of tanked a lot of the private industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to work for the last company I ever worked for besides my own, which did race sales. We did the race registration softwares for companies like Ironman and Tough Mudder, these big,
Yeah.
massive racing events. We did the software for those, and I was pretty good at it. And I was doing cold calls. We were doing, I think your average sales around $5,000, and in 6 weeks I broke their record and did $500,000.
Wow.
And they had never seen it. I told them I would do it from day one, and they said can't be done. So I said challenge accepted. And
you should have tied tied a percentage of it.
I should have. It would have been nice.
That would, because they would have said yes because they figured you could never do it.
Right, exactly. But that actually was the reason why I left, is because they didn't want to move me out of that position. They wanted to keep me there because I was quite successful at it. And I no longer wanted to be tied to that. I wanted to teach. And when they said no, and they had promoted somebody else instead, who literally left like 3 weeks later because he couldn't handle it, I was done. I didn't want to work for a company who didn't have my best interest at mind. I wanted to have my own interest at mind.
I'll bet they're regretting that.
Probably. I trained quite a few people that was on my team. They were doing pretty well when I left. So,
all right. So you left, and then what?
I created my own web design company. I went from making $100K a year to making about $20K. But I was at home. I had a newborn son. Well, not newborn. He was about a year and a half at that point. And I loved the freedom. I loved being able to wake up whenever I wanted to wake up. I love the fact that I could go meet clients in the middle of the day while everybody's complaining about having to go back to work after their lunch break. I'm sitting there having a coffee with a client and helping them understand their website, or how they make money online, or any number of softwares that you could use to figure out where they wanted to be. And that was for me the point in which I turned this entrepreneur into an entrepreneur.
And when was that?
When I had taken the step back from my job and actively went after clients and helped them build their business.
But I mean, what year was that?
That was 2015.
15. So you just doing the same thing ever since, huh?
I have been. It's been a very fast 4 years.
And you're homeschooling your son.
I am. That's one of the luxuries that I get from that.
I love that, because I never met a homeschool kid I didn't love. They're sponges for knowledge. They're high achievers. I mean, for the most part, parents do this because they want to make their children better. There's a few bad apples that just want to get out of going to school, but taking their kids to school. But for the most part, the homeschooling community is great.
Yeah, I absolutely love homeschooling. It allows me the ability to go on a Tuesday morning at 9:00 and take my son to the zoo, and let him play and let him learn something about the animals. Or maybe it's a 2-week vacation in the middle of, what's a busy month, February, when all the kids are in school. That's something that you don't get when you go to a traditional school. And I love the ability to have that kind of freedom.
Well, I know you're a smart guy, but how are you going to figure out this new math stuff they're shoving down your throat?
Oh, I don't do Common Core at all.
Oh, okay,
I actually have a buddy who's a elementary school teacher, and I asked him to show it to me, and he actually had to break out a bar napkin to show it to me. And I'm like, why would you need this? I mean, let's be honest, math hasn't changed, very much.
Well, not according to the people shoving that stuff down your throat, but they're making fun of it online. They're showing a math problem, and they're showing the old way to do it and the new way to do it. And the new way takes like 5 times as long to do.
Mm-hmm. It's insane because it's only built around memorization. It's not built around critical thinking.
See,
because that's the idea is to know your memorization skills up to 10, or your multiplication up to 10, and then you base everything on that idea.
Well, all I know is a lot of this stuff is created, but what I call highly educated idiots. You know, really, some of these people running the schools today. I'm glad I don't have any kids in these schools, because the stuff that they're showing them and they're doing with them, oh my God, it's scary.
Yeah, it's really bad. And when you have people who they can't do 13 times 12 in their head, it's like there's going to come a day when you're going to need that.
Well,
there's going to come a day when you need basic math skills and the ability to do math on the fly, and you're not going to have a calculator. Your phone's going to be out of battery. You need memorizations, and you need math. And if you don't have that, then there might be a world where there's not a bar napkin around.
Most of the generations wouldn't even believe you. They just blow it off like you're crazy, because they never had anything. I mean, they came out of the womb swiping a tablet, and
that's true.
And they can't read a around the clock, because everything's digital. And this used to be funny when a little toddler would go up to the TV and start trying to swipe this like it's a giant screen, but now you can do it now.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not funny anymore.
Sorry, if you really want to see terror in a kid's eyes, put a rotary phone in front of them.
Oh yeah,
just sit back and watch. It's
There's
hilarious.
Some funny videos on that too. Yeah, on YouTube. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Lee what's a typical day look like for him, and I'm afraid to hear what that is. Going to the zoo. I remember that Rocky thing. Yeah, retards like the zoo. You might be too young to remember that, but that's what Paulie said to Rocky about his girlfriend. So anyway, folks. Speaking of higher education and the highly educated idiots that are trying to charge you a fortune and making you dumber, I got a webinar I want you to watch. It's at screwthecommute.com/webinars. If you have any interest in higher education, or if you have nephews, nieces, or neighbors, or kids that are considering going to college, I mean, that's been brainwashed in our heads. And yeah, some people should go to college, but lots of people shouldn't go to college. They're just running up debt, coming out with no marketable skills. And this webinar is going to make you mad. There's no doubt about it. It's going to show you how the rates and the tuitions are going up for no reason. It's going to show you how the colleges systematically have been inflating grade point averages. We have the hard, cold facts in this webinar. To make it look like they're doing a better job of teaching. Yeah, but the testing is showing that they're actually dumber. And then another study followed 2,000 kids over a period of years at many different colleges and universities. And the average kid was spending 8 hours total in preparing for class and going to class. The rest of the time was eating, partying, and shopping. I sure don't think I'd want to mortgage my house to pay for that. And then they're getting out and trying to compete for jobs at Starbucks. So the online marketing that Lee teaches and that I teach through my formal school and my mentor program are giving people marketable skills. In fact, I wouldn't have got cleared by the Department of Defense for the military spouse program unless my skill was an actual skill that's in demand and portable, which means you can take it anywhere. You can be at the beach, at Starbucks, while the MBA PhD student is serving. You can be making money right from there. So check out the webinar. You can either download the audio or watch the actual webinar. And this was done by people, not me, just hawking my school. This was done by a lot of high-level educators that see what's happening, and they're embarrassed about it, and they're trying to save you from enormous amounts of debt. So So check it out at screwthecommute.com. Just click on webinars, and you can either download the audio or watch the webinar. All right, let's get back to the main event. We got Lee Mosler here. He's a great dad that does homeschooling, and he helps people stay home with their kids by teaching them online business. So Lee, what's a typical day look like for you? And how old is your child?
My boy is 5, but he'll be 6 in, like, I don't know, 20-ish days. It's scary.
So are you able to handle his curriculum at that age?
Oh yeah.
It's not too advanced for you.
No, not yet.
Right.
Give it like 6 months.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, a typical day is actually pretty nice. We wake up whenever we want to wake up. Sometime around noon, we'll do our studies.
Oh, I thought you woke up at the crack of noon or something.
Oh, no, I'm usually up working before he is.
Okay.
And when he gets up, I generally start working with him, but I'll usually be up about 4 hours or so before him.
Okay.
Just so I can make sure to get my stuff done. But we work through his stuff. I have a workbook for his school. And then I also use
what, 5 years old? Is that school or is that preschool or what is it considered?
It's kindergarten. So he's
okay.
learning, of course, alphabets, numbers, basic math. Except this particular one, we don't actually start with traditional addition and subtraction. I can't speak today. And we actually focus on multiplication. So he knows his 2s and he knows his 3s.
Does he know his ABCs?
He does know his ABCs.
Well, yeah, but I just heard on TV, and I'm not making this up. Apparently, the ABC song is racist.
Oh,
did you see that?
I heard that, and they changed the way. So instead of it being
LMNOP, right?
They changed that up, and it's like,
oh, man.
You ever get the look on your face when you just hear the dumbest thing in the world?
Highly educated idiots. Yeah, I told you. Yeah, I get that look on my face every time I turn the TV on. So anyway, he's got his ABCs. He's working on multiplication.
Yep, and he knows all of his. He knows the phonetics of each letter. So strong and traditional, and I gotta say I love it because we'll go through, and he'll read a sign, and he'll ask me. He'll say, "What does this spell?" And I'll sound it out. And so he starts sounding it out, and he starts with every letter, and then we start putting letters together. And then by the end of 60 seconds or so, he's got the word.
Oh, amazing!
And he's unbelievably smart, and his memory is uncanny. Sometimes I really wish he didn't have such good memory because he remembers everything. And he'll see a word that he hasn't seen in 6 months and then just blurt it out. And I'll be like, where did you see that? Where did you hear that? He goes, oh, we it was on the such and such side of the building, when we were passing it by. And I've got to think back, okay, when were we over there?
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, how do you work on stuff like the term faux pas? I mean, it doesn't fit into any of the stuff that the kid's learning. We'll get to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that.
So there's always exceptions,
Yes. There's really the great thing about this is I can control the environment. So that's not really, that doesn't really happen as much.
Yeah. But so he would probably pronounce it FA-U-10 for iPhone.
It's one of those words where you have to be like, that's not English, and you have to say it differently.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good explanation. So, all right. So you work with him, and then what? You guys do
generally
any
when
PT?
We're done.
You guys do any
You've
PT?
seen me. I'm not really that big of a PT guy.
No, but me neither. But...
Yeah. So we've got a pretty decent sized backyard. He'll go out and run around. Sometimes we'll go to the park. A lot of times I like to go to the zoo. I like him to interact with other kids. And the zoo's really good because our zoo here it's small, but it's in the middle of Honolulu, so you get a pretty good mix of kids that come through there, and they have a pretty decent sized playground.
Yeah, nice. How about the cat?
So,
Get to play with the cat?
If he's not trying to be attacked by the cat, then yeah, he's trying to play with the cat. But
Now, are you teaching him how to care for the cat and how to care for animals?
Of course.
And stuff? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why we got animals, was because personal responsibility is big in my world, especially coming from a military background.
Right.
And pets are the absolute best way to teach a child how to have responsibility and how to take pride in that responsibility.
Right.
So yeah, the cats are big. We got 2 cats. He feeds and waters when they need it.
They clean the litter box. He does the litter box. Good.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We're not, when I was growing up, my dad said I had kids so that I didn't have to mow the lawn, and I thought he was joking. It turns out that mowing the lawn is actually pretty good for your kid because it teaches them responsibility. So yeah, the litter box does the exact same thing for him, because we live in we rent, so we don't actually do the yard.
Right. All right. So what's the rest of the day look like?
The rest of the day is pretty much a back and forth of, if we need to do more schooling, then we will. But for the most part, it's just relax and work on some business stuff. He'll sit behind me as I work on websites, or he'll sit behind me as I talk with clients, or if I need to record something. He's always here. He's always learning, and he's always watching.
Nice.
And I think if you can reach a child at his age and show them what they can accomplish at that young of an age, then the sky's the limit.
Exactly. That's their formative years. Yeah.
Exactly. When we're adults, we're learning this, right? 16 through 18, maybe even into our 20s. This is when we're learning this. But what would happen if we had 10 to 15 more years to learn this?
That'd be scary.
Where would we be by the time we're in our 20s?
It'd be scary.
Look at look at Mark Zuckerberg. Guy was coding from a very early age and turned a basic coding into the world's leading social media platform.
Exactly. So
he had an extra 10 years to do it.
Yeah. So I really applaud you for doing that. Any parents that do that, they're really doing right, because like I said, when I watch the TV and I see some of the stuff that's going on out there, I'm glad I'll be dead by the time they're leading the country. Some of those people. So thanks so much for checking in with us today. So how do people get a hold of you, and how do they learn about this platform of website building?
Oh, you can email me directly at lee@shapingair.com, or you can check out...
Is it Shaping Air?
Shaping.
Okay. We'll have this in the show notes so they can just click on it too.
Okay. Yeah. Email me or visit my website and contact me through the website, shapingair.com.
Right. And so is the thing ready to go now, the website builder?
It will be up and ready by the time this episode airs.
Okay, that's going to be like in 2 days. No, it'll be like next week. It'll be next week sometime. So awesome. And what's it called? Is there,
it's a name called for Unimagined Reality.
Unimagined Reality.
Correct.
Great. All right. So thanks so much, man, for talking to us, and can't wait to see that little man grow up.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right. Catch you later.